Welcome to Story Orchard, where every tale grows into something unforgettable and every word helps you grow your English. Before we dive into today's story, tell me, do you enjoy listening with a cup of coffee or is tea your thing? Here, we don't just tell stories. We help you discover new words, improve your English, and take you right inside the world of the story. So get comfortable, relax, and let's begin today's journey together. They say every writer has one story that refuses to let them go. For me, it was the stalled novel, a book I started writing 10 years ago and never finished. It wasn't because I didn't know how it ended. It was because every time I tried to write, something else seemed to be writing it with me. I remember the first night it happened. It was raining hard, my desk lamp flickering, and my old typewriter resting in front of me like a silent dare. I began typing the first chapter, a scene where my main character discovers a hidden room in an abandoned house. But after a few paragraphs, I paused, because the words in front of me weren't mine. Instead of the sentences I had written, the page now read, "You shouldn't have started this story. You won't be able to stop it." I froze. Maybe it was a glitch in the typewriter, or maybe my tired eyes were playing tricks. I ripped the page out, crumpled it, and started again. But it happened the next night, and the night after that. Every time I wrote, strange warnings would appear, words I had never typed. And slowly, the story began to twist into something I didn't recognize. At first, I thought it was my imagination, until I noticed the events in the book were starting to happen in real life. It started small. The first scene I wrote, about a coffee mug slipping from a table and shattering, happened the very next morning in my kitchen. Same mug, same angle, same sound of porcelain breaking on the tiles. I laughed it off at first. Coincidence, right? But then came the second scene. And that's when laughter turned into a knot in my stomach. In the book, my character walks past a man in a black coat who whispers, "You can't write me out." The next day, while walking home, a man in a black coat brushed past me and whispered those exact words into my ear. I spun around, but he was gone. Not just I couldn't see him gone, I mean completely vanished into thin air. That night I couldn't sleep. The rain tapped against my window like impatient fingers, and I swore I heard pages turning somewhere in the dark. When I went to my desk, the typewriter was on, keys pressing by themselves. I watched as words appeared, slowly, deliberately. Finish the novel, or it will finish you. I tried to pull the paper out, but it wouldn't budge. The typewriter kept typing, as if it was feeding off the air in the room. When it finally stopped, there was a new chapter I had never written. A chapter that described my own death in terrifying detail. And the date was 3 days from now. I didn't touch the typewriter for the next 2 days. I locked it inside a wooden trunk, threw the key in the river, and told myself it was over. But stories, real stories, don't let you go that easily. On the third night, the date written at cursed chapter, my apartment went silent. Not the kind of silence you welcome, the kind that feels aware of you. The clock on the wall froze at exactly 11:59 p.m. And then the trunk began to rattle. The sound grew louder, like fists pounding from inside. My breath came in short bursts, every muscle screaming to run. But something, maybe fear, maybe the same twisted curiosity that made me a writer, kept me rooted in place. The lid of the trunk cracked open and the typewriter slid out on its own. The ribbon was fresh, the paper blank, waiting. The keys began to clack, faster and faster, ink bleeding words onto the page. Final. Chapter begins now. The lights flickered. My shadow stretched unnaturally long across the walls, bending and twisting like it belonged to someone else. And then the typewriter wrote my name, followed by 2 words. Look behind. My chest tightened. I turned. There, standing in the doorway, was the man in the black coat, only this time his face was my own. He stepped forward, smiling, and whispered, "Every story needs an ending." The typewriter went silent. The clock started ticking again. And the page was full when I read it. It wasn't about my death anymore. It was the completed novel. Perfect, chilling, and ready for the world. But one sentence burned itself into my mind, the last line on the last page. "The moment you tell this story, someone else will take your place." Now it's your turn. Which new words did you learn today? And how did the story make you feel? Share your thoughts in the comments. And tell me, where in the world are you listening to Story Orchard from? I love reading all your messages. If you enjoyed this story and learned something new, make sure to subscribe to Story Orchard, because every day a new tale and new words are waiting for you. See you in the next episode. Until then, keep listening, keep learning, and keep imagining.